To prevent the merfolk from being slaughtered, I decided to go ashore and seduce my childhood friend Cyrus, who had become the Alpha King. He still loved me deeply, and we spent 3 passionate days and nights together in bed. Waking up from a haze of pleasure, I hadn't even had the chance to rejoice before a corrosive elixir was dunked over my head. Listening to my pained wails, Cyrus smirked. So even an immortal mermaid can feel pain, too? Well, this is just a taste of what's to come if you don't tell me where my parents are. Yes, he was convinced that the merfolk were behind his parents' disappearance. From then on, I was forced to watch him flirt with his mistress, Emily, had to extract my mermaid pearl to help heal her body, was forced to dance barefoot to entertain Emily so that she could sleep. Cyrus hated every fiber of my being, yet always held me tenderly in his arms whenever I was on the brink of death, carefully feeding me medicine. Sometimes, he was cruel. Do you think I'll go easy on you just because I love you? Quick, continue torturing her. Sometimes, he was gentle. Can't you be good and tell me where my parents are? Silently, I endured his twisted love without a word. Soon, however, these days would come to an end, and I wouldn't have to keep that secret any longer. After all, a mermaid who did not return to the sea after 3 years on land would turn into sea foam. And now, there were only 3 days until my time was up. Late at night, the doors to the basement were kicked open harshly. In came a tall werewolf, yanking me up from the floor by my hair and slapping my face until I woke up. Ignoring my pained groans, he grabbed my legs and dragged me out of the basement, cursing as he did. How dare you sleep so comfortably when Emily's hurt? My body was dragged roughly upon the coarse gravel road, leaving behind a trail of blood. Eventually, I was dragged to Cyrus' feet. He furrowed his brows when he saw my bloodied state, as if he was about to say something, but seemed to decide against it. Emily's hurt. Heal her with your mermaid's pearl. I looked up, my gaze falling on Emily, who was resting on the bed, her lower belly slightly protruded. Smack. The next second, Cyrus sent a slap at my face. Where do you think you're looking at? How dare you lay your eyes on Emily? I'm here, so don't you even think of hurting anyone again. I immediately lowered my head, the slap stinging bitterly on my face. I'm sorry. Slowly, I crawled towards the bed and observed the wounds on Emily's hand. Clearly, she'd been teasing a starving mermaid with food and got bitten as a result. After more than 2 years of torture, I was already familiar with how to heal Emily and treat her wounds. I began undressing with practiced movements, when I heard Cyrus bark out behind me, "Get out, all of you." Everyone else in the room immediately retreated, leaving just the 3 of us inside. I didn't really understand why he did so, but I'd long since given up on trying to understand his intentions. I continued, piercing my chest with my sharp nails and extracting the mermaid pearl from within, trembling from the intense pain that came as a result. Cyrus' deep voice broke through the silence. "Marina, don't you can make me go easy on you by acting pitiful." In his eyes, the reason why I used my mermaid pearl to heal Emily instead of using my blood was because I was trying to act pitiful. But, in actuality, my blood had already run out of its healing properties because I'd become too weak. Besides, I never intentionally acted to garner any pity from him. That was Emily's forte, not mine. Illuminated by my mermaid pearl's glow, Emily quickly woke up, and Cyrus immediately wrapped her in a warm hug. "Are you all right? Does it still hurt?" Emily glanced at my bloodied chest, a vicious gleam flashing through her eyes. "It doesn't hurt anymore, but the scent of blood is making me nauseous, so can you get her out of here, pretty please?" Cyrus turned around, glaring at me viciously. "Are you deaf? Get lost." I crawled out using my arms, and I heard Cyrus' gentle voice coming from behind me. "Emily, don't ever go close to those ugly, evil mermaids ever again. They'll only hurt you." My heart, already numb with pain, was stabbed with another knife, the pain going to places I never imagined. Suddenly, a bucket of ice-cold water splashed onto me. It was a maid, looking down at me with disdain. "You disgusting monster. Aren't you supposed to be immortal? Why are you bleeding all over the floor instead of healing your wounds quickly?" A dirty rag was thrown onto my face, and I was already too weak to even dodge. "Wipe the floor clean, or I'll tell the Alpha King to punish you." I started wiping the floor, but it was a never-ending task. I couldn't stop bleeding, so the floor never became clean. I spent an entire night wiping the floor, listening to the sounds of passion coming from inside the room, and I cried. As Cyrus' disgusted expression appeared in my mind, I thought, very soon, I would finally be free. Even mermaids, with their legendary immortality, would still die. I was finally reaching the last 3 days of my life. As I cleaned the final drop of blood on the floor, the wound on my chest healed thoroughly. At the same time, a new day dawned for the Moonshadow Pack. Cyrus emerged from the bedroom, carrying Emily's scent, and saw the rag soaked in dark red blood. He frowned. "Why is there so much blood?" I didn't explain, only lowering my head. "I'm sorry, I'll deal with this dirty thing immediately." Outside the window, a maid was watering the garden, and she deliberately raised her voice. "That monster asked me how to please a werewolf and what gifts to give to a werewolf mate before. Goodness, is she trying to seduce the Alpha King? Gosh, does she think that a witch like her can be with the Alpha King? How delusional. Doesn't she know that those dirty merfolk are the reason why the Alpha King's parents disappeared? She should be spending her entire life repenting." Hearing those words, I immediately sensed danger and tried to retreat back to the basement, but Cyrus moved faster. He dragged me straight to the interrogation room, pressing me down on the chair that was carved with lightning runes. With a mana stone that could activate the runes in hand, he looked down at me darkly. "I just remembered that it was time for me to interrogate you. Now talk. Where did you bring my parents?" I closed my eyes, flashes of excruciating pain that I'd experienced in this very chair flashing through my senses. Shuddering, I replied, "I don't know." The moment I finished speaking, strong electrical currents surged through me, making me scream in agony. My entire body convulsed violently, and the wounds that had scabbed over split open once more. When it ended, I was so weak that I could barely even breathe. Cyrus' breaths became heavy, and he leaned in to press his ear on my chest, confirming that my heart was indeed still beating. "Just tell me, why won't you tell me?" His voice was on the brink of breaking down, as if he was experiencing excruciating pain as well. "I just want to know where my parents are, Marina. If you tell me, I'll let you go." Blood flowed from the edge of my lips, every fiber of my being screaming in pain. I won't tell you. I could never let anyone know where Cyrus' parents were. This was a matter of their safety. "Well, be that way." Cyrus stared at me for a very long while, before scoffing and ordering for his underlings to bring the mermaid pearls that I thought I'd kept hidden. My eyes went wide, and I struggled in the chair. "What are you doing? You can't do that." Cyrus spoke cruelly. "Of course I can. I can do whatever I want to a criminal like you." Then, he threw a mermaid pearl to the floor and crushed it underfoot. As I let out a heart-wrenching scream, he continued, "I hear that mermaid pearls contain the souls of you merfolk, and that you'll never be able to revive them ever again if their mermaid pearls were destroyed. So, does this pearl belong to your father, or your mother? Are you willing to let your family die because of you?" My fingernails dug into my hands, already bloodied. Tears streamed down my cheeks, falling to the floor and turning into blood-stained pearls. "I hate you, Cyrus." In response, I got a kiss that was so fierce I couldn't breathe. Cyrus growled, "You hate me? What right do you have to hate me?" I didn't speak, his kiss making me dizzy and confused. These days, I was less and less conscious and aware, to the point where I almost forgot how in love we were in the past. Mermaids had always had the custom of taking human form and going ashore to look for their true love. I was 3 years old when I first met Cyrus. The moment he saw me, he looked up at his mother and asked, "Mom, I like her. Can she be my Luna?" Cyrus' mother smiled and looked at me. "Well, you would need to treat her well and get her to like you first, right?" After that, Cyrus and I became the best of friends, spending most of our time together. The year I turned 15, merfolk started being hunted for their healing abilities. I was forced to leave the land and return to the sea, but I'd often sneak back on land and look for Cyrus. When people asked me about my identity, I thought of an excuse. I'd tell them I was a distant relative of Cyrus. However, before I could respond, Cyrus said, "She's my beloved girlfriend and my future Luna, Marina." At that moment, I realized that I'd completely and utterly fallen for him. Later on, the merfolk and werewolves were involved in a deal. The representatives for the werewolves were Cyrus' parents, but they ended up going missing as a result. I was the princess of the merfolk, so I was naturally one of the greatest suspects. I knew that Cyrus hated me, but I had no choice but to hide the truth. Many years later, Cyrus became the Alpha King, and I had to approach him again for the safety of my people. Many times, I couldn't help but want to tell him the truth, but I held myself back. If I ever let the truth be known, his parents would be in peril. In any case, I wouldn't have to bear any of this love or any of this hate ever again. I had 2 days left. Cyrus tried to lift me from the chair, only to find his arms soaked in my blood. He paused and looked at my ruptured wounds. I gave him a weak, bitter smile. "It's dirty, isn't it? But it's fine. I'm going to die." I was telling the truth, but Cyrus acted as if I'd said something incredibly taboo, and he started pouring healing elixirs into my mouth in a crazed frenzy. The elixirs barely worked. His voice was icy, but beneath the frost was sheer panic. "You can't die, not without my permission." Undoing the shackles on my ankles, he plunged me into a pool of healing elixir. I coughed and choked, and the wounds on my body stopped bleeding. However, I felt that there was something wrong with the healing elixir that I was plunged into. My body was temporarily healed, for sure, but the side effects were going to leave irreparable damage on my body. Looking up, I caught sight of Emily, hiding behind the door. Meeting my gaze, she gave me a twisted, malicious smile. Her red lips moved silently, wording the words she wanted to say to me. "Marina, I want you dead."